Running live feed. Oh. What up, everybody? Back here with another JawsAtalk talk show. Still not quite set up. Things all bobbly Picasso. What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the JawsAtalk show. Right now, I'm interviewing this artist. His name, he goes by Bloodshed. I interviewed Rose last week, and he told me to talk to this cat because he helped him with his characters and stuff like that. I was hella digging his shark, and he said you should talk to Bloodshed. Located him on the Instagram. We were already friends. And so yeah, I reached out, and he got back to me, and here we are rocking this interview. If you've seen the flyer, he does super crisp drawings with the skull influence. It's very unique, very cool. I think people who look him up will definitely be stoked to see the kind of art he does. So go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit.
I go by Bloodshed. That's pretty much a pseudonym for me, I guess. I don't really like to put a lot of my personal information online. I feel like it's not really something that needs to be associated with the artwork. I mean, you know, I'm just trying to sell the finished pieces, not my personality or my story, you know?
Okay.
I'd rather have it be a lot more about the work itself and not necessarily about who made it.
Nice.
So that's pretty much why I keep it anonymous for the most part.
Okay. Excellent.
But yeah, I've been doing this art thing about probably drawing seriously for about 5 years.
Oh, okay.
6 years now, and doing art full time, supporting myself for the last 2.5.
Nice. Awesome. Did you take classes or self-trained or what?
I don't like to say self-taught, to be honest, because nobody can teach themselves how to do
Right.
anything.
Right.
You really take influence from who you're looking at or what you're looking at regardless. I mean, you know, it started with me looking at comic book art and people that illustrate comics using watercolor, and then I, you know, discovered people that use illustration markers, which is what I use now. And I definitely cannot say that I'm self-taught. I mean, I've taught myself. I haven't had lessons or schooling.
Okay.
But I definitely learned from looking at other people's work and trying to figure out what they're doing.
Nice. Who are some of your inspirations, or some of the comics that inspired you and stuff like that?
I've got a few, man. I've got some friends from Instagram that I've known for years. Rose is a big one. He's a really good friend of mine, man. I keep in touch with him on a daily basis.
Cool.
And him and I work together on a lot of things, too. So
Nice.
he's the big inspiration for me as far as keeping me motivated.
Cool.
But then, of course, you know, there's those big-name artists that you kind of just watch and admire, and, of course, I have a few of those, too. I like Crayola, I like Scribe.
Oh, yeah.
Like James Jean. There's a lot of just guys that are just killing it, man. World-renowned artists, and, you know, they are for a reason.
Dope. All right. So before I go into that question, do you want to tell people where you're from, or cities you represent, or stuff like that?
Not necessarily cruise. I do kind of used to mess around with that back in the few years ago with you know, stickers and slapping up stickers and stuff like that. I had a few friends that we'd do collabs or do trades and put each other's stickers up and stuff like that. But it's kind of one of those things that I grew out of a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
I'm really into graffiti, but I don't really do much of it myself aside from putting up stickers, just because it's like, it's a time thing. It's, you know, it's one of those things you normally got to go out and do at night.
Right.
I'm trying to stay on a regular schedule and keep up with commissions and stuff like that. So it's tough to go out and do the vandal thing when you got a commission list to worry about.
Yeah, definitely. Where are you from?
I am actually from a few places, I guess. I was born in New York and lived in Brooklyn until I was 8. And then from there I moved to Dallas, Texas, and I lived there until I was 21, 22, moved a little bit, moved
Okay.
to Denver, Colorado. Lived there for a couple of years. Now I'm in Oregon.
Okay.
Just kind of traveling around, man.
Nice.
Doing the nomad thing,
Right.
trying to connect with other artists and just kind of keep it fresh, I guess, in
Yeah.
different parts of the country instead of feeling stuck.
Right. Yeah, when I was talking to Rose, and he told me to hit you up, and then I looked you up, and then I realized we're in the same neck of the woods, bro. You're just a couple hours north. It's pretty crazy,
yeah,
man.
I haven't been here long. Oregon's all right. I'm in Eugene, obviously. I feel like I'd rather be in Portland.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. I'm not necessarily that into this rainy weather.
Hey, I'm from Humboldt. Like, the rain is pretty natural, but the extremes of all the seasons are definitely is a new thing to me.
Right.
I don't know if it snows up where you are, but it snows like a fucking crazy
Denver gets
amount.
like half a year of snow.
Well,
So
Denver.
so
Yeah.
I like that.
Right.
Yeah, that's where I've been. I haven't been in Oregon long. I was in Northern California for a little bit. Came
Nice.
up here to Oregon.
Nice.
I don't really know where I'm going to be at next, but
Cool.
I'm going to start with going to San Diego for a show I've got
Okay.
at the end of the month.
Nice.
See where I go from there.
For sure. Excellent. All right. How do you describe your style?
I'd say illustrated, I guess. I don't really necessarily like to say cartoony. A lot of it is very cartoony, but that's not necessarily the style I want to be known for overall. Honestly, I go for a semi-realistic comic books, more on the illustrated side. I guess that's how I would describe it.
Okay. Have you ever done comic books or thought about going into comic books or anything like that?
I haven't, just purely because of how much work it is, man. Those people have to kill themselves doing panels.
Yeah.
It is like just an exponential amount of work.
Right.
And I've never been, dedicated enough or really had a concept in mind to create a comic book. Which that's a crazy amount of work. And I mean, if you go and work for a comic book, one of these, Image Comics or Vertigo or something like that, or Marvel, you really you're getting lists of, storyboards with doodles, and you just have to pretty do what you're told. There's not very much creativity involved with it.
Right.
So it becomes a lot more work than fun, in my opinion. I mean, there's people that, they're a little bit more cool with the monotonous style of working and being told what to do, whereas I generally lean towards getting a little bit of freedom. Even if someone comes to me with an idea, I kind of try to mold it. Give my ideas back to them, and people have bad ideas, and sometimes you can spin it a little bit. Make a slight suggestion that'll take them in the right direction. That's kind of the thing I like to do, ideally.
Right. That's funny you say that, because I was talking to somebody about a specific commission yesterday, and they're not artists, so in their mind, something that made sense in my mind didn't make sense at all. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
yeah, man, it happens. And
yeah.
There's a lot of the time that people come to me with like a really awful idea, and they're trying to commission something custom, and I end up, talking back and forth with them for a while, and I end up getting something completely different.
Right.
It's really funny. It's like people will come, and especially with tattoo ideas, I'll really be blunt with people and tell them, like, hey, man, this is just not an aesthetic design. It's not an aesthetic idea for a tattoo.
Right.
Like, it's just not going to work. Like, it helps sometimes, because people that aren't artists generally don't know what they want. Sometimes you just kind of have to take the reins and give it. Give something looks good. And,
Absolutely.
And they'll accept that. A lot of the time they're ecstatic with it.
Absolutely. Okay. I was gonna say, I thought I had something. What are some comic books that you were inspired by? You said you liked comics in the earlier.
Number one recommendation, which I'll probably just leave it at this, so that people aren't overwhelmed, or anyone that does want to take this suggestion. I'm just gonna give one, man. The comic's called Preacher, and it was run in the 90s, and that is, like, by far, in my opinion, the best comic ever made. The covers were painted by this British artist named Glenn Fabry. He's definitely one of my favorites, and every single one is just so killer, and the story is so good. It's really pretty much a perfect comic in my opinion. There's a little bit of difficulty with the reading just because it takes place in Texas, and they're obviously the characters in it are really southern, so there's a lot of slang and stuff that's kind of difficult to understand at first when you're reading, but nothing to slow you down really. You'll just see a lot of like diminutive and random abbreviated words that you're like, what the hell? Who says that?
Okay. Okay.
Honestly, it doesn't take away much, and yeah, it's a pretty renowned comic, man. It's freaking brutal. Good artwork, good story. It's crazy. It pretty much is constantly throwing new stuff at you and giving you cliffhangers that make you not want to stop reading it.
For sure. Excellent, excellent. All right, so let's see. You said kind of how long you've been working on your craft. So, where do you envision your art going, or what would you ultimately like to do with it?
Ultimately, I guess I'd like to work with more galleries. Right now, I've got a couple. I just started working with my main one in San Diego earlier this year. And that's been a pretty nice change. I didn't really do much gallery stuff prior to that, and it's cool. Honestly, the environment of it really pushes you to up quality of your work. It makes you want to be able to present and hang with these other artists that are in there, and there's some serious painters that have their work in that place, man. It's definitely motivating and at the same time discouraging. You're like, oh shit, I'm not up there with these people, but obviously, you know, if you've got the gallery interested in your work, you are, and you're doing something right.
Damn.
So it's really just best to ignore the other stuff and just push yourself your best. Damn. I kind of like that. I like that. Obviously, you're able to price your work a little bit higher. You lose out on consignment a lot of the time, but I mean, the galleries, they're selling your piece for you, you know, so you don't really have to do much besides do the piece, send it, or bring it to the gallery, and they take care of displaying it, they take care of advertising it, they take the payment for it and all that. So it's really, you know, in my opinion, they do, if the gallery is actually selling the work for you, they are definitely earning their consignment. Obviously, there's some galleries that don't really sell work. It just kind of is a place for it to hang, and if at that point you're the one that's advertising and sending customers over to that gallery, you might as well take your work back and sell it directly and not lose out on that consignment. Definitely. It's just it's kind of a catch-22.
Definitely.
You want to be on the professional side and have your work only be available through galleries, but sometimes direct sales work out best for you.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. I've definitely experienced that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That exact thing happened to me. Had stuff up there, and I was doing a lot more than the gallery was, so I ended up I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to collect everything, and I guarantee I can sell them.
Yeah, sometimes you post it on your profile, advertise, and immediately someone goes over and buys it. You know, they could have bought it directly from you, and you would lose 30 to 40% of what the retail price is. Absolutely.
All right, cool. What mediums do you use? I know you touched on this a little bit.
I generally stick to Bristol or watercolor, hot press watercolor paper because it's smooth.
Okay.
I like Arch paper. It's spelled Arches, Arches. It's pretty expensive, but it's really nice. The other downside to it is that it does soak marker ink up, so you will empty out some Copics trying to color with that, but the paper's really good. It takes color so well and holds it. It's really nice. I like to use that. I use generally a red color erase pencil for sketching and a darker red one to tighten it up, and then I'll use black and ink it, kind of get my lines where I want. From there, I usually ink. I'll take a finished sketch and take a light pad, put the sketch, tape it to the back of my fine art paper, the Arch or the Bristol, and then just on that light pad, ink directly on it. Okay. And honestly, that's a really good tip. That's something that took me a while to learn, to figure out, and it really came from looking at tattoo artists and how they do their stuff.
No doubt.
And comic book artists as well with their light table inking. But yeah, it just gives you the outline with no graphite or anything like that. It's just straight ink on the final piece. and from there, coloring's a lot easier. You don't smear anything. You can
Right.
center exactly where you're putting this. You know, it's just a
Wow.
lot easier.
Wow.
It's something that it takes you a couple extra steps sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you end up redoing the same outline 2 to 3 more times than when you would have if you just sketched it on the paper. But I don't know. I like things to be clean and as perfect as I can get them.
Yeah, that's a very unique perspective. I've never heard anybody, say something like that, Very
It's a little
cool.
extra work, but if you're using these materials, man, it's not fun when you got pencil.
Right.
I mean, even if you ink on top of graphite, if you've got a thin pencil line and you go right over it with pen, you try to color with a brush tip marker next to that, it will pull the graphite out of where it was and smear into your color.
Mm-hmm.
And I've ruined many, many drawings with stupid things like that. So generally, I just, anytime I make a mistake like that and get frustrated, I try to find a way around doing it again.
Mm-hmm. For sure. All right, that's very unique, man. Do you paint at all?
I do. I don't really. I mean, painting is one of those things that it's like a relative term for me. There's a lot of things that I'll call a painting and a lot of things that I won't, as far as my work goes.
Mm-hmm.
I like to use paint markers a lot, and with those, I generally don't ever use them on canvas because it's almost like an oxymoron in my opinion. A paint marker is something that's like, it's more for drawing, it's more for putting it on paper or on a piece of wood, maybe.
Yes.
Something that's not, I mean, if you're pushing paint markers on a stretched canvas, you're not doing the right thing, like you're trying to paint on stretched canvas, you might as well break out brushes and get some craft paint.
Right.
Figure it out. I do quite a bit of painting, I have not quite so much this year as I have last year, but I like to do it. I generally stick to a pretty solid cell shading type of style with that.
Yeah.
Not very much blending.
Right.
So they are paintings, but really they're a lot more illustrated than they would be like painterly. It doesn't necessarily look like paint.
It's more mixed.
Look like an Adobe design with just solid color.
Right. More of like a mixed media.
So it's weird. Like for me, when I think painting, when I think of a painting, I think of something that is painterly and was done with brushes and has blends to it. It's definitely just, not to discount people that have the same painting style as me, but I wouldn't call myself a painter.
Cool. Yeah. I definitely do. I've always thought, shelling a inked piece in a paint pen always looks cool. I think that looks cool, but I definitely have my own reservations.
I use paint markers a lot. It's definitely, I love them.
Yeah.
They're handy. It's like, I'd rather take those on the go and work on slides
absolutely.
Or something like that than carry around brushes and water and paper towels and make a mess and have to clean it up,
Right.
It's a lot easier to cap a marker and put it back in your bag than to keep switching between paint brushes and have a wet palette. And
right.
It ultimately amounts to laziness.
Right. I've been painting for long enough that I have reservations. I mean, but again, I did start early on with paint pens on very cheap canvases, but I've definitely evolved, and I now have my own reservations on doing that, just because I work with paintbrushes so much now. But that's not to discredit anybody out there that's,
No, trust me, I'll take paint markers. I'll take paint markers and rock a canvas panel.
Right.
But I don't call it a painting.
Right, for sure. For sure.
It's a shortcut, in my opinion.
Right, for sure. What type of markers do you prefer? You mentioned some of the paper you like.
I like to use Copic markers.
Okay. I have a question on that.
Ink markers. Yeah, I like those a lot. I do use Prismacolor markers, but they're just not there in quality compared to Copic. They don't have as good of colors. Their felt tips aren't as good. Their markers aren't refillable. It's just, I mean, they do have a few colors that I do like that Copic doesn't have. They've got like their eggshell color. I like a few of theirs, like their cinnamon toast color is really nice.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wouldn't recommend someone to buy them if they're trying to be serious about doing illustrations. If they're trying to do a coloring book, Prismacolor markers are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They're a dream for someone that's just coloring for fun.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're trying to be serious and really push it and see what you can do with markers, Copic is like, there's no other choice.
Right.
Sharp packs are nice, but they're all chisel tip.
Yes.
So it's a little different with that too.
I really like the colors of Copic. Just a few weeks ago invested in getting some because I know they're so popular. Have you ever had the issue when you're using the Copics that it like disperses more ink than wanted?
Yeah, that happens to a lot of people. And that's really all you need to do to remedy that is to open the cap on the other side of the marker and equalize the pressure.
Oh, no doubt. See? I'm learning something.
Like you can literally take the cap off, look at the brush tip, and it just looks like juicy.
Wet. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you pop that other cap off, and it soaks back up.
Okay, that's good to know.
These markers will never have more ink in them than they can handle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're never overfilled.
Okay.
They would never be overfilled.
Okay.
I've never had that. But whenever they've been shipped, or you've had them sitting in your bag, vertically for a really long time, and the brush tip was down, something like that, I personally think it's usually that pressure happens from when the markers are shipped.
Okay.
Because they're put in a cargo bay on a plane, which isn't pressurized.
Right.
And it will build up pressure in those markers. So if you're just taking off one cap, it's going to want to really, push out whatever ink is on that side.
Definitely.
But,
definitely.
Quit taking the cap off the other side.
Excellent. Good.
All you need to do.
Thank you for that bit of information. I ended up just like dabbing it.
Dude, I've had a Copic drip on a piece I was working on, just straight drip on the paper.
Right.
Doing it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, when that happened the first time, I was just like cringing inside. I was like, no.
Yeah, dude, it is.
But I ended up just forcing it to be an effect and just splattered it more on purpose. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, all right, cool. That's just gonna have to work.
Yeah,
but
same thing. I mean, if you're using paint markers, never pump the marker on the piece, man.
Right.
It'll flow.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I learned that years ago. But yeah, for those of you,
for anyone listening who's using Molotov markers, Montana acrylic markers,
Deco.
Like that, keep a scrap piece of paper on the side.
Yep.
Pump that tip on the paper, get your flow going,
yep.
and then touch the piece with it.
Absolutely.
I've had black paint marker blow out
oh, no.
on like a skateboard that I was painting before.
Right.
It's definitely not fun.
Right. It's like almost surreal. Like, did this really just happen? Like, that's funny, dude. All right. Cool. Good. I like that. All right, and you didn't want that. So, let's see. What are some projects you're currently working on, or the next things you have scheduled?
Nice. I have right now a show coming up at Just Another Gallery in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
They're tagged on my page on a couple of pieces, and I'll probably be posting again.
Hold on one second. Okay. Sorry, it glitched out on me for a second. So you said the mausoleum. Let's jump back on that.
The show is called Mausoleum, and it's like a skull and bones theme.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Pretty ideal for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's coming up. That's on October 28th. We'll be there. So anybody that's in San Diego, come through. You can definitely meet up with me at the show. It'll be a good time. There's going to be a lot of really sick art there. A lot of really nice glass. This is a glass gallery as well.
Okay.
So, high-end glass pieces that are all skull and bone themes. It's going to be pretty sick.
And then there's a question that I kind of skipped over. Oh, there's actually a few questions that I kind of skipped over. What made you come up with Bloodshed? Made you run with Bloodshed?
Yeah, that one actually is a pretty funny story. You familiar with the game Guitar Hero?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The video game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that one back when that one came out, I don't know when it was, 2006, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I got that game for PlayStation 2 and put in the game. You know, you go in there and start up the game. It tells you to make a band. It's like the career mode where you play through all the songs, and it's, you know, you pick a name for your band.
Mm-hmm.
So just random on the, you know, random band name generator on Guitar Hero, and what came up was Bloodshed. So I really liked that. I ended up using that as my band name on there, obviously.
Okay.
Used it for my Xbox Live account later on when I got into those video games.
Okay.
Just kind of used it as a username for a while, and then when I got, you know, more heavily into the drawing and into the, you know, sticker slapping kind of scene, that was, you know, an obvious choice. That's just the name I used.
Nice.
I just stuck with it.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's not any profound meaning or like sweet story or gory story or anything like that. Honestly, I really just have Guitar Hero.
That's so funny.
Credit for that.
I want to just throw in on that. When I was interviewing Mayonnaise and Bread, he was like, I don't even really like mayonnaise. You know, he kind of had his own.
Yeah, dude, Jason is a really, really good dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's another good friend.
Amazing person for sure, dude.
Killer artist, man.
Yeah, he donates a lot to like you know, like autism and like a cancer patient and stuff. So it's really awesome person.
That guy is insanely talented. He's insanely fast. He will just crush out pieces, full two favorite colors together. Yeah. So Jason is, he's definitely one of my favorite artists, man.
Tight.
I'm lucky to know him personally through Instagram.
For sure. Yeah, that dude, he's doing the 31 days of, you know,
that's actually really cool, man.
So quick.
Project.
So quick. I've been doing, you know, kind of my own list, or a list that I found, but like, you know, it's different than his, but, you know, and I'm using like an eighth of how many colors he's using, and it's like not an easy thing.
He's not even going off of an Inktober list, honestly.
Right, no, yeah.
100% original.
Yeah.
Every single one of these things he's doing, it's not built off of a prompt. It's
right.
not anything like that.
Right.
He's actually building this month of pieces that he's doing into a project. So I don't know if I don't want to share too much on that because I don't know if he's really, you know, put that information out there on Instagram. But
slightly.
He's definitely doing something cool with this month of drawings. And it's definitely a good idea to keep an eye on his page for that.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely, you know, a supporter, letting people know, you know, what he's putting up on there. But he's opened even a second or another page, the 31 days of Halloween, I think it's called.
Yeah.
So, cool. All right, let's see. What inspired you to do the skulls and like add skulls to these things?
The skulls, honestly, that's like the funnest thing for me to draw. I really liked. I don't know. I guess it kind of started with Ghost Rider. I used to do a lot of like comic book fan art and like redraw like just whatever I could find that I really, you know, whatever was like in my of like, yeah, I can probably draw that. You know, there's stuff that's obviously so dynamic that I'm like, damn, I'm not going to be able to draw that whole scene.
Right.
But, you know, certain things, mostly covers, you know, those are a little more simplified. But I really liked Ghost Rider. I've done quite a few drawings of Ghost Rider.
Okay.
And, you know, thinking back, I guess that's, you know, as early as I really started working on skulls. And from there, you know, doing them here and there is fun, doing different animal skulls, and then I eventually got into mashing up skulls with different things. Yeah. Having them, you know, food and things like that. Just put a skull on anything, grenade, pineapple, piece of cake, whatever.
Yeah, the pineapple, the cupcake, the strawberry shortcake. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to use, you know?
I've done a lot of them, man. I've done a ton of food skull mashups. They're definitely fun. I need to do probably cherries and some other stuff.
That'd be
I've got
fresh.
An avocado that's going to be coming out.
That'd be tight.
Through a clothing company.
Okay, cool.
Pretty fun stuff.
Yeah. The donuts. You had a bunch of donuts, and I was just like that. It's so fucking perfect. Like I don't know, something
Yeah,
about it is so perfect. So
yeah,
it's
call
dope.
that one the Death Nut. That one was definitely it
Dope.
was definitely a really popular design.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that, from the time I drew that to the subsequent months,
Mm-hmm.
that Death Nut really got me a lot of new followers. It got me commissions. It
Wow.
got me a lot of stuff. Yeah, that's definitely been up there. I'd say that one is probably my most successful design, aside from a Rick and Morty, fan art that I've
Yeah.
done, which I try to avoid doing that pop art stuff. I try to keep it original for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But, sometimes I'll have someone commission me and say, hey, I want to do a Rick and Morty. I'll quote them really high, hoping that they won't want to do it.
Right.
And sometimes they'll they'll say, yeah,
They'll
man,
jump on it, right?
yeah, and it's one of those things where if I'm going to do that, I might as well make prints of it and
Right.
give those to the people that are begging for them. So yeah, I actually
Right.
have that coming up again soon. I'm working on a piece right now that's going to incorporate season 3 stuff.
Very cool.
So for as much as I don't want to do it, there's going to be a new Rick and Morty print. All the people that want it.
Stay tuned. I think I mean I have to say one of my favorites that I seen that I put on the flyer was Rocco's Modern Death. I was a huge Rocco's fan, dude.
Yeah, Rocco was my favorite, man. Rocco
Nice.
and the Angry Beavers were my two favorites. That and Ren and Stimpy, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Or Rocco and the Angry Beavers.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that one. I just randomly, I think it was Rose. I don't know, man. Somebody, it probably was him.
Mm-hmm.
That sent me a picture of a wallaby skull. Somebody did. And I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, oh shit. The first thing I thought of was Rocco, and I was like, I could probably do that.
That's dope.
Use that skull and put Rocco's ears on it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So that was definitely a fun one.
Yeah. Yeah. Not too long ago, I did Heifer from Rocco's Modern Life. For
Nice.
a canvas that I did for my boss, because my boss lets me hang a lot of canvases at the job. So, as like a thank you, I did like, because it's a steak restaurant, and I always thought it'd be funny to do like a cow, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do fucking heifer. You know what I'm saying? So
That's funny.
yeah, I really like that show. Okay, let's see. What is a good or best or memorable piece of advice that someone has given you?
Honestly, I guess the best advice or help I've gotten, I've got a friend that his Instagram's Fun Snuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely been a huge help, huge inspiration to me over the last 4 to 5 years. I think that the most important thing that I really learned from him is probably the use of white highlights and white outlines around things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people do it, obviously. He didn't pioneer it.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at how he was using it and how he did it, it just helps things pop so much. I feel like it's such an important element to add. It's a really nice accent. It's a nice detail. Really good white highlight. Just really good. I love them. And he obviously crushes with those with, white ink or white paint and a brush most of the time. And definitely inspired me to add and use that in my own work. And just from there, I mean, that's a detail that makes you add more other details. It makes you go harder on the shading. It makes you try and add some texture in certain places.
Yeah.
So I've built a lot off of that. It
Yeah.
sounds kind of weird to be like, yeah, white highlights, that was the most important thing I got as advice, but it really that was like a step to the next level.
Yeah.
And it just made me really try to step everything else up.
Yeah. No, that's.
I definitely would credit him for inspiring me and teaching me a lot of stuff.
Definitely.
And yeah, his Instagram is FUNSNUF, Fun Stuff.
Okay, cool. I'll check that dude out for sure.
I'm not sure if he'd be up to do an interview, but he's definitely a sick artist to
Tight.
follow.
Right, yeah. Well, that's what's up.
He's another one that's anonymous on the gram.
For sure.
Because he hits pretty hard in the graffiti.
Cool. Well, I yeah, I do that stuff a little bit, so.
Either way, check his page.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm definitely gonna follow him. I do second white highlights and white outlines. I think it really does wonders. It does wonders
awesome
to the piece. I think I was gonna put one up in the camera as an example, but I think I've sold all of my fucking pieces, or they're hanging somewhere else. But
That's
yeah,
not a bad problem.
Right. But it's definitely definitely a very good tip to add for all you artists out there.
For sure. Get yourself a white jelly roll gel pen.
Yep.
Change the game.
Absolutely. And I work with like black paper every once in a while, and
oh yeah,
man. Prisma white colored pencils are so smooth, unbelievable.
I just bought 5 of those today because I never ever have them at Michael's. So
no doubt.
If I see them, dude, I will definitely grab.
No doubt.
4 or 5 of those things because they're always gone. People just clear them out.
Right. And I was working on this canvas yesterday, and you know it works on like I spray painted the background, and it does show up on spray paint as well. But for an artist tip, I also have a Pit Pastel color marker. It's a little bit rougher, and those work almost better on like the canvas that I was working on. So
right.
For artists,
that's totally cool.
For artists out there, my whole thing was when I got my last art payment, I just bought everything that I needed. You know, every style of white pencil, you know, every hardness of like charcoal and graphite and stuff like that. So more knowledge, the more you know.
That's nice, man. Yeah, it's definitely more satisfying when you can get paid for a piece and buy all your supplies.
Yeah.
Getting paid for a piece and paying your phone bill.
Right.
Yeah, or going out. It's it's nice.
Yeah.
And you feel a lot more like that piece is like important.
Absolutely.
You know, right after you spend I definitely relate to that. You spend the money from a commission on supplies, you're just like, this commission, I don't know. It definitely gives you, it makes you feel like it's a little more important.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I told my homie on this last interview, it's like I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, at least I glimpsed it. You know what I'm saying? So it's a good feeling.
Right.
All right. So, what are some other words of wisdom you have for the younger generation?
Younger artists, I would definitely say just draw every single day. Don't focus way too much on trying to be original necessarily. You know, the last thing you want to do is copy other artists. But there are acceptable ways to do that. You can do fan art. You can copy a comic book artist or an illustrator that you really like. It's obviously important to label it and present it as a fan art piece or a study.
Sure.
That's fun to do. But honestly, I'd recommend drawing every day, depending on what the style you're going for is. If you're wanting to do stuff that's more in the comic book style, doing some of that fan art's not a bad idea. Buying some tutorial books or paying for videos. It's not easy to find free art tutorial videos online. You're not going to find anything good.
Right.
Don't waste your time looking at YouTube and how to paint and how to draw videos on there. You'll find a few that are good, but ultimately, no one that's really taken the time and effort to put together tutorials is giving them away for free. So,
right.
Yeah, there's a few videos where you'll get really basic lessons, but if you're really trying to learn, find a professional artist. A lot of them do tutorials and teach classes and have material that you can purchase and learn from, and that's where the good information is. I haven't personally done that very much because I've always been broke, and I've always just kind of tried to observe on the free side, looking at Instagram and trying to kind of figure out for myself what they're doing. But you know, people want to be on a fast track, and if you want to be on a fast track and get better at drawing, that's the way to do it. Pay for a real tutorial or a real class. Learn from somebody that's going to give you good information so you don't build bad habits. Especially with cartoon character development and things like that. Or doing comic book style stuff, or doing portraits. All of that, you know, the people the maestros are, you know, they're up there and they're they are where they are for a reason. You know, it's a lot easier to go to an expert and learn how it's really done.
Absolutely.
Than to experiment and go through years of trial and error.
Right. And more failures.
Yeah, that would definitely be my recommendation. That, don't go out and blow too much money on fancy art supplies because you really don't need them.
Right.
If you're trying to learn, it doesn't make a difference what kind of pen you're drawing with.
Right.
Whatever. I mean, until it does make a difference, but if you're at the beginner level, it doesn't make a difference.
Right.
Like, you don't need the best pen. I need the best pen because I'm trying to get as crisp of a line as I can, taper it or whatever I'm doing. It's, you know,
it makes more sense.
You don't need it.
Makes more sense at a higher level, for sure. That's another kind of reason why I wanted to do this show, because I am not at the top of any fucking level, but I know that, you know, I'm kind of like the midway point, you know what I'm saying, where like I can talk to much more evolved artists, and I know like
wasted money and I've fucked up those markers or fucked up drawings and wasted a ton of ink on that because I colored such a big area with that.
Right.
It's just one of those things, man. I've gotten so frustrated and almost quit drawing because of, you know, my own mistakes, just trying to learn the hard way.
Right.
So it's definitely, I feel that giving information where I can and helping people is only going to get that in return for me whenever I'm talking to people that are really killing it.
Absolutely.
They might give me some advice because I gave, you know, advice to the littler guys that are just kind of starting out. I'm definitely a believer in karma in that sense.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
Try to put in what I want to get out.
Definitely. Yeah, and another reason I look at these shows, like, I'm going to sit down one day and, like, you know, I take notes during the interview, but, you know, I'm going to sit down and take every single note, you know, because it's making me better, you know. I mean, and that's my goal for anybody, you know, who's interested in watching these interviews. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want everybody to be taking notes, and then like, you know, so yeah. Yeah,
man. I can say I haven't listened to I haven't had the time. I've been so busy lately, but trust me, I'm going to go through and listen to most of these things, especially Jason's.
Yeah,
Jason's some solid nuggets in there.
Yeah.
For people that are trying to kill it like he is.
Art Gomez.
Art Gomez.
Yeah, have you seen his art?
That's another. No, I'm like. To be honest, I'm not. I've been terrible about Instagram lately, about exploring and finding new people.
Right.
But that's right. I'm definitely gonna go through and watch some videos.
I suggest those. I mean, I suggest them all. I just interviewed my homie Lucian, another just incredible artist. You know, like the collection between like even just the four, you know, the three that I mentioned and you are amazing. I also battle rap, so I interview battle rappers as well. You know. So, but yeah, there's great information. Like, this is so much more rewarding than I ever thought it would be. You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome, man. So, yeah, I definitely think you should keep it going. Yeah. It's, and especially to get people to talk about what materials they're using and what kind of techniques. That's what the good information is.
Yes.
In my opinion, I don't want to hear about how somebody grew up. You know, I don't necessarily, you know, like, that doesn't matter to me. It's cool to sometimes get some of that information and learn more about somebody that you admire, but, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not trying to fill my brain up with useless information, and I don't think anybody else is for the most part, so that's kind of why I try to keep my personal life out of it.
Right.
Just keep it about the art.
Right. And you know, I obviously do have some questions involving that realm. I mean, for the simple fact to bring awareness, like, we're regular people. You know, it's like there are no aliens walking around, you know.
Stuff like that is cool. I definitely think it's awesome. But, you know, for people to really catch on to the podcast, the interviews, and, like, get something out of it and try to keep coming back and learn more from different people, I like that most of the questions are about the work.
Right.
And, like, what advice can be shared material-wise or experience-wise.
Exactly.
That's like what, you know, what I wish I had several years ago.
Right.
It'd be really cool to go through and just listen to interviews about how my favorite artists work and stuff like that. I think it's a really cool idea, man.
Cool.
To definitely keep it going.
That's the goal. All right.
I've probably got a handful of artists that I'm going to suggest to you after this.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'll write those down.
I'll try not to give you too many.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. I need more material, so it's all good. All right, let's run through a few more of these questions, and then we'll get on to that. So, other than being an artist, what are some other things that you're into?
Right now I've got kendama as a hobby. It's kind of like a ball in a cup type of game. It's a wooden skill toy.
Interesting.
I play with that. Not that I'm like amazingly good at it, but it does break up drawing time. It keeps my hands busy.
Sure.
Dexterity is something that's really important in my opinion. Having, the ability to control what your hands are doing beyond everyday tasks, like playing with this wooden toy where you got to hold this thing at a certain angle to get balance and catch it that way. It just makes it to where you can do a more specific line that you're trying to draw. I don't know. I just feel like it helps a lot. The crossover of really training your hands, especially your dominant hand, to really do what your mind is telling it to do.
Wow.
I don't know. I feel like it's helped a lot, man. It's one of those. It's no different than doing hand exercises, I guess.
Okay.
That and it's pretty fun. It's fun to mess around with. You kind of, you stand up and you get on your feet and walk around a little bit playing with it instead of just sitting at the desk. Your artist hunch, trying to get out of your funk.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, I do that. I don't really have too many other hobbies because if I did, I wouldn't get anything done.
I heard that.
But obviously,
I heard that.
Netflix here and there, Game of Thrones. Most HBO shows are pretty good. Easy to get sucked into that stuff.
Oh yeah. I just heard just like how much is spent to keep people distracted, and that shit made me mad.
But yeah, man.
So I just tried to be aware.
$millions to keep people on their couch.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so just two more quick questions. Anything else you would like to say, raise awareness on, rant about? Any questions that will have people thinking, things that they should be doing?
Honestly, I would say if you're a mid-level artist or an artist that's got a couple years in and you're starting to get beginners that ask you questions, don't turn into one of these snooty, ignore people and, I'm so tired of people asking what kind of pens I use, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, I feel like people try to get to that place to make themselves feel better or feel like they're above other people. Help people, answer people's questions.
Absolutely.
I guess here would be a little disclaimer for that. Go to that person's page and see what they're doing.
Right.
If someone comments on your stuff and says, hey, what kind of marker is that, or what kind of thing are you using, go check out their page, man. If they're drawing every day, answer that shit.
Right.
Tell them what you're using. If it's somebody with not a single drawing on their page, a lot of the time I won't answer that.
No doubt.
But if it's somebody that's got sketches or whatever and they're posting every day and they're trying to get better,
absolutely,
dude, I will answer that every time.
Absolutely.
A lot of the time I'll DM them and tell them, hey man, here's what I used for that.
Right.
Here's what else I used. So, like answering questions that they didn't even ask. That still useful information.
Right.
It's so important, man. It's so important to encourage people. It's not like one of those things where, glass blowers or musicians or artists or whoever. If someone's interested in getting into it and you're like, well, trust me, it's no walk on the fucking beach. Or
right.
Whatever. That's not cool, man.
Right.
That's like, not everybody should draw, but if somebody's really interested in it enough to where they're asking artists for advice or opinions on things, that's not somebody that you should shut down, dude. That's somebody that could be fucking killing it in 10 years.
Yeah, and then they'll look back.
No reason
and then
to discourage anybody else.
Right.
Like
It'll pay
It's
off,
crazy.
man. It'll pay off because then, like, when they are super good, they'll come back. You know what I'm saying? And then, either still be a fan or I mean, your network grows.
Dude, that's gonna be, dude. People will appreciate that. That's somebody that's like, you know what?
Cakes.
This guy gave me help. He told me like what he's helped me a lot. With my friends and artists that I've had advice from, Fun Snuff, as I mentioned earlier, I've bought a shitload of that guy's work. You know what I mean? Like, to support him because he's a good friend, dude. He's helped me a lot. It happens. People that you tell, hey, I used Copic, I used Milky White as the base color, and then I came in with this. That makes a big difference, dude. That person is, when they get their next paycheck, they might order something from your website or buy something commissioned.
Real talk.
From you.
Real talk.
You're not going to hurt anything by giving people advice and help.
Right.
It's, if anything, it just improves your reputation.
Right.
Like, those people are going to talk to others and be like, that guy's really fucking cool, man. And I asked him what kind of pen he used, and he told me. I bought it, and I love it. Like, that's
definitely.
That's cool. That's like, there's no activity there. There's nothing.
Definitely.
So I definitely try and do that as much as I can.
Absolutely.
Obviously, unless it's somebody that's like asking arbitrarily and they don't draw.
Right.
It's like, oh, yeah.
Right. No, I actually.
Like, if you can tell they're not serious about it, then I won't answer or talk to it.
I actually encountered that situation of just the other week. Someone like asked me about, was just like stoked on like, the graph that I was doing and wanted to do 3D letters. And in my mind, I was like, I don't really draw for free anymore. You know what I'm saying? And then like I checked out his page and it made more sense. And so at that point, I like drew his name up. I only had like an hour before work, but I spent that hour to help this artist out. You know what I'm saying? And and it pays. It felt good. It's like, we all have a message. As artists, we have messages.
Yeah, it's gratifying. My buddy Rose, I gave him some help a little bit on his cartoon shark that he was trying to work on.
Yep.
I love that thing,
dude.
It's tight. He's like taking it to the next level and doing a lot more shit with that character than I have with any of mine.
I told him he's got to do one up for a.
Sweet, dude.
I told him he's got to do one up for a tattoo for me. I'm Jaws. You know what I'm saying? And when I first saw a shark, I was like, I'm a huge fan. Like, that's going to be a next tattoo design. He's hella down to do that.
Especially the hammerhead.
Yeah, he's got some cool one. His tiger shark was dope.
And he took it. And the small bit of help that I gave him with like starting out on that shark, he's like taking it way further than that.
Yeah.
And now that's really his character, man. That's not mine at all.
Right.
I gave him like a couple of pointers, like, oh, maybe you should do the eyebrow like this a little bit.
Right.
It's like, yeah, but that's still all him.
Tight.
Like he put a lot of time into that. And I'm definitely stoked on it for him.
Hell yeah. Right on. All right. And let's see. How can people follow you, reach you, ask about products?
Right now, pretty much I'm just doing everything through Instagram.
Okay.
As far as sales go, I usually do that directly with Instagram and PayPal. I used to have a big cartel, but it didn't really have anything on it besides a couple of prints. Right now, I don't have prints, so I don't really have a website or anything like that, but, I've got everything, for the most part. Most of the stuff I'm doing is posted on my Instagram, and I've got a few pieces that are on there for sale, too. I've got, open for commissions most of the time, depending on what it is, and, if anybody has questions or wants to possibly get some work, Instagram DMs, where I'll be at.
At Bloodshed.
Yeah, Mr. Bloodshed.
At Mr. Bloodshed. Right.
Yeah, mr.bloodshed.
Cool. All right. Cool. So you wanted to mention some artists to me. Do you want to keep this on the live feed, or should I take it off the live feed?
I would say let me. I've got way too many, man. I need to just scroll through the list of like who I'm following on Instagram. Write down who I think would be good people for you to interview. People that have time.
Cool.
So
Let's do that.
You could probably. I'll do that, and I'll just shoot it in a message and give you kind of a list.
Sounds good.
Instagram.
Sounds like a deal.
Take it. Sweet, man.
Thank you very much, man. Super awesome talking to you. You're an amazing artist.
Yeah,
keep on pushing it. You inspire me. You're inspiring a lot of people. So, high five.
Thanks, man. Sorry again for the delay
Oh
on
no,
that.
it's good.
Yeah, just
It's all good.
yeah. Sometimes technology isn't always our friend.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
we made it happen.
For sure, for sure. All right, have a good rest of the day, man. I definitely
I
appreciate it.
appreciate it, dude. You too. Keep
Cool.
on with the podcast. I'm
Right
really
on.
stoked to get to more of them.
For sure. Thanks, brother. Have a good night.
Thanks.
All right.
You too, man. Take care.
Peace.
Peace.